Hey, Tony, are you picking up on this? Usually it's the presenters that I get the blame, but no, we want you to give us a good one. So I'm gonna go ahead and call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, welcome everyone. This is our monthly meeting. It is Wednesday, October 26, 2016. First item will be to approve this evening's agenda. There are 3 additions, 7L, 7M, and 7N. Take a moment to look at those additions, and while you're doing that, I'll motion to approve the agenda. Thank you, Fred. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Agenda approved. Item 4, approval of the minutes for our last meeting. Thank you, Bob.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. Any questions on the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Minutes approved. Any public input for us this evening? We'll move on to item 7, respectful and responsible. First item A, approving September 2016 claims and treasurer's report. I'll motion. Thank you, Linnea. Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Claims and treasurer's report for September approved. Item B, consent agenda. Looking for a motion to approve the consent agenda. Thank you, Linnea. Thank you, Nels. All in favor? Aye. Consent agenda approved. Thank you. Okay. Officer Meyer, you are up. Tony's going to provide us some overview of what is now his 2nd school year with us.
Yes, it is.
Thank you for being here, Tony.
Yes, thanks for having me. Okay, so as you said, I've come to provide an overview of my job duties here at the school between the high school, middle school, and Van Dyke. Now, in policing, there are 2 approaches that we typically take. There's preventative and reactive approaches. Now, that's the same as I do here in the school also. I like to kind of focus more on the preventative approach here in school and, try and get to the problem before it starts. One of those things that I do here is work to prevent juvenile delinquency through close contact and positive relationships with students. Conduct security inspections to deter criminal delinquent activities. I work with other patrol officers to design crime prevention strategies. Now, myself and other officers with Coleraine and Bowlby were constantly exchanging information on what we're experiencing between the school and the community so that we can better serve our community with our policing. I also establish and maintain a close partnership with school administrators in order to provide for a safe school environment, assist school officials with their efforts to enforce Board of Education policies and procedures, ensure school administrator safety by being present during school searches, which may involve weapons, dangerous controlled substance, or in such cases that the student's emotional state may present a risk to an administrator, and also assist school administrators in emergency crisis planning and building security matters. Be visible within the school community, attend and participate in school functions, build working relationships with school staff as well as student and parent groups. I'm at a lot of the football games, hockey games. That's in my department. It kind of gets offered to seniority officers first. If they pass that off, I'll do that. I do a lot of the school dances. I'm at them. Van Dyke every year has a 4th grade bike ride that they go on, and I partner up with Miss Anderson, the gym there, to ensure that the kids are getting over the bike trail safe and stuff like that. last year, I know they did a bike to school, and I partnered in that with, handing out some incentives for biking to school and just, telling the kids, good job for making the healthy choice and stuff like that. I also work with guidance counselors and other student support staff to assist students and provide services to students involved in situations where referrals to service agencies are necessary, assist in conflict resolution efforts. From time to time, we'll get some students that who may be in a bad place and having some thoughts of maybe hurting themselves or others. In situations like that, I'll step in, I'll get them to the resources that they need, whether it be that I bring up to Grand Itasca for like a CRT, crisis response team, and they'll do a review, and then they can provide them with further resources to help them in their current situations. So to kind of wrap up the preventative approach, the increased visibility and accessibility of police to the school community serves as an effective way to promote the profession of police officer and initiate interaction with students to serve as a positive role model. Now, as I said before, there is another approach to it, and that's the reactive approach. Now, that is part of policing too, and when the preventative has not, worked, there's always going to be the reactive end of it. And that's pretty straightforward. With the reactive approach, the services I provide to the district are provide law enforcement and police services to the school grounds and areas adjacent to the school, investigate allegations of criminal incidents per police department policies and procedures, enforce state and local laws and ordinances, make appropriate referrals to juvenile authorities or other governmental agencies, assume primary responsibility for handling calls for service from the school and in coordinating the response of other police resources, addressing crime and disorder problems and drug activities occurring in or around the school, making arrests and issuing citations on campus, providing leads and information to the appropriate investigative units, taking action against unauthorized persons on school property, serve as hall monitor, crossing guard, and assist with truancy issues, respond to off-campus criminal mischief that involves students, and serve as a liaison between the school and the police and provide information to students and school personnel about law enforcement matters. So, like I said, to wrap it up, that is my duties there. I like to make myself present and available to all the students. I'm out at the buses in the morning and the afternoon to show that I am there and, willing to help out wherever I can with the kids.
Thank you. That's an important time of day to have that extra support.
Yes, I believe so too.
Anyone have questions? Thank you. I'm glad you're back a second year. It's been a tough
Thank you. Yeah, I'm glad to be back too. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, we're gonna have the girls, we have a couple of students that are here this evening to share some information about student council, is that right?
We were told.
Okay, and who told you to do that?
Alex McDonald informed us that Principal Britton would like
Okay.
some representatives from student council.
Okay, so introduce yourselves and tell us what you can.
My name is Hannah Erickson. I have been on student council for 2 years, and would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'm Maria Murphy, also on the student council for 2 years also. We're both in 8th grade.
Okay. So what else can you tell us about student council? What's happening in student council this year so far?
So this year we've achieved 3 main initiatives. We attended the V-Day event down in the Twin Cities. We're currently working on our first blood drive of the school year, and we just completed our student body mock presidential elections today. We're currently working on brainstorming ideas for what we can do as a student body to benefit our school and benefit our community.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that, because as a board, that's very important to us.
We haven't gotten very far in the brainstorming process yet because we've been very busy with the blood drive this year. But, we're trying to look at ideas for fundraising and ideas for raising awareness for various issues.
Okay. So can we ask what the outcome of the mock election was?
I believe that Donald Trump won the elections and various things.
Okay.
If you're looking for like community service projects, you can certainly contact me because I'm always looking for students. I don't know if people tell you groups, for Goldie Farmers, we've got all kinds of opportunities for students to do some community service and do fundraising as well. So as we get, towards spring in that, I'd like to meet with you guys again and see what we can do for you in terms of a fundraiser.
Definitely do that at the
Okay.
next meeting.
Great. Anything else you'd like to share? Thanks.
How does
Randy.
the blood drive work? You have a certain day that they get blood, or how does that?
Our blood drive is, this first blood drive is November 10th. We're contacting students that are of the appropriate age, so 16 or older, to donate blood.
And they do that, they come here to do it?
Yes, I believe they do it at school.
Good. That's great.
Oh,
Oh, okay,
store the blood properly.
nice.
Do you remember last year how much you were able to, come up with? Did you have it last year to give us that?
Yeah.
Remember?
It's an annual thing.
We did have the blood drive last year, but I was not part of the process.
It was, last year we were still in the middle school and high school student council. And this year, since our numbers have dwindled a little bit, we're together. So,
Do you like that, being combined?
I think it's a lot easier to communicate effectively with the upperclassmen and with the teachers of the upperclassmen.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Okay, we will move on to item D, approving the event worker stipends for the 16-17 school year. Thank you, Bob. Linnea seconds. Any questions on that item? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Those work stipends are approved. Item E, approval of the first reading of policy 721, uniform grant guidance policy. And I did read this, and I have to admit, I read it, but I need more information. Who do I turn to?
I'll take that one.
Okay.
This is a requirement by the federal government that non-federal entities, in order to comply with the full life of federal grant that we receive, is basically the new requirement under this guidance. So we do have to comply. Every grant issued after December of 14 needs to be compliant with this. Greenway does receive 5 different federal grants every year entitled to 3 different special ed federal grants. So again, this item, the policy, which is a requirement by MSBA, but also item L is the procedure manual that I know you probably all read, 70 some pages, really goes hand in hand. And again, ensures that this district is compliant through the life of the grant, and that really the go-to procedure if you have any questions about compliance issues.
That's the gist, I guess. I thought I'd ask for some clarification. Okay, thanks, Randy. I'll motion to approve.
Second.
Thank you, Fred. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
First reading approved. Item F, approval of the Greenway Public Schools Employee Handbook for 16-17 school year.
This one pretty much is the same as past. I mean, just like our student handbooks, we wanted this approved by the board, updated names and procedures. The biggest thing to remember is that this isn't this is employee procedural handbook. It's not contract or anything related to that. So
Mr. Pace. Motion to approve, I'll motion to approve the employee handbook. Here. Thank you, Nels. Any other questions or comments?
Just, does this go to the unions too, so they look at it at all, or they
No,
have
it's
access
just
to it?
by the district.
Teachers?
It does go to every employee. It's an employee handbook, so
Okay.
it's distributed to all
So
staff.
that's all, okay.
No.
That's all.
It's on our website. They have to read it every year. They have to sign off if they get a bunch of documents. This is one of them.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, ready for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we will move on to G, recognizing the grant to the Van Dyke Elementary in the amount of $2,500 plus. This is a Crayola Products. I believe this was a grant that a team at Van Dyke had written. The value, it says with the value of $1,000 from Crayola. So, Sue, can you just clarify that a little bit for us?
The actual grant cash value is $2,500, and those dollars are being used to partner with 321 Art Studio out of Finland to bring artists and residents in to collaborate with our classroom teachers. So they will be collaborating on creative experiences and art activities for our elementary students. We'll also use some of those dollars to help offset some telepresence costs because we're going to be using the telepresence cart. So they will get to experience art museums and different cultural kinds of things that are tied to art. And then they'll bring that back into the classroom. So our students will get virtual field trips and we'll get lots of creative art experiences. The $1,000 from Crayola will come in products from Crayola. So we'll get $1,000 worth of markers and crayons and paints, and which really will be wonderful for our school. So we'll use all of those art supplies in the creative experiences that we're doing in the classrooms.
And this is in addition to us bringing back our programming for the elementary kids.
Yep. Which we were also partnering with 321, so this just adds a whole nother layer with the telepresence and some of those pieces. So we were absolutely thrilled when we submitted this grant. We have a creativity leadership team, it's called, at Van Dyke, and when we submitted the grant, I really didn't think we stood a shot because it's a national grant, and we were one of 20 selected, 2 in Minnesota, so it's pretty
Great.
exciting.
Can you acknowledge who helped with the grant?
321 Art Studio is part of our creativity leadership team, Megan Hanna, and then Nancy Lucas, who's a parent of students in our school. And
Thank
myself.
Okay.
It was really fun.
So we're deeply appreciative of strengthening what we're offering our kids. So thanks to Crayola and thanks to the leadership team for taking the time to write that grant. Next, we will recognize a donation in the amount of $500 from the Abundance Life Church to the Greenway High School for the Alan Griffin Student Reach Minnesota Assembly. And can someone provide a little more information on that for the board? Anyone? Mr. Britton probably would be able to, so I apologize. I don't know.
I can. This in regards to the bullying speaker that the GHS building recently had for their full student body, I believe. They had the same speaker last year, however, I believe he covered a little bit of a different topic. But this is in regards to one of our staff members who was a member of this church, felt strongly about this and wanted to donate funds. It was Mr. Allison.
Yep, and it is in Mr. Britton's info. Thank you, Randy. Okay, we are going to move on to item I, and that is approve the creation of 2 permanent .83 FTE special education paraprofessionals, and these will be at Van Dyke Elementary.
Yep, these were originally created as temporary, and they'll become permanent.
Okay?
Were these already in the budget then? So it's outside of the budget?
Based on student needs and came in.
Will this be all of our funds or is this some federal funds?
It'll be somewhat offset by special ed.
Are these one-to-one types of para positions? Okay. And they're new students to us this year, so we're going to help the budget. Okay, thank you. Good question, Fred. Okay,
And
thank you, Bob. We have a motion.
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. We're approving the, that's right, you're gonna vote, so we'll get to, Bob's a motion, Mike, second, and this is for the paraprofessionals at Van Dyke. Any questions?
And I apologize, but not that I'm against it, but it seems like we were way up here at one point, we come back, now we're creeping back up. I understand there's needs, but, down the road, and I, like I said, and I apologize, I've been very busy, and maybe it wasn't, but if we can get some clarification way ahead of the meeting or any time to let us know, because it is a good question. Because I know we sat here last year and we looked at it and we had a lot.
What question did I ask?
Fred asked about the budget at college school, but it's new students coming in and I understand that. I guess from where we were last year, maybe the year before, and where we started out this year, we eliminated a lot of it. And I'm very worried about the budget myself. I just want to put that on the record that, if we're going to be looking at this, there need to be going forward. Hopefully it doesn't go any much further,
So if these students leave, really, does this position leave as well?
Well, they would be able to continue under funding special ed. It wouldn't be direct, so it wouldn't be full reimbursement for them. It would be still serving special ed students, so there would be some.
For this school year.
Right.
Yeah. So I think for me, the permanent wording, I think is what you're speaking to.
Yeah.
This is a commitment to the positions for 16, 17.
Right. And we did, according to contract, we held it off as long as we could.
Just so you guys are aware, so what we've done previously, like last year, we had temporaries who lasted all year, and they have different rights than a permanent employee, and it's not necessarily that we're treating them fairly in doing that, nor should we hold on to a temporary that we know we're gonna have the whole year. That's not the intent of the language in the contract.
So this is best practice.
Yes.
Good, thank you. I mean, that's part of who we are agreeing with. We need to take care of our staff. Okay, any other questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Item J, set canvassing meeting date and time.
We have 10 days post-election, and
Between
3 and 10. So within that week's time frame, we have to certify the election results. So we'd be looking, well, the third day would be the 11th, which is a legal holiday, so we can't really do it on that anyway. So we'd be looking at sometime in the week of the 14th through the 18th, we'd have to canvass,
When's our regular meeting?
8, 16.
16th.
So we can do it at that meeting?
We could, unless you guys, my preference would be to do it earlier, but that's only because I have other obligations to fulfill, but that's fine.
It's a tight race, too. I mean, to the convenience of the board, I understand it's not optimal for you. But
In the past, we've always done it on a different day.
the board's pleasure? Okay, Wednesday, a regular Wednesday meeting for the November. Okay. Any dissension from that? Okay, so we're gonna set it at the regular board meeting in November. And if there's anything Mr. Pace can help you with to make this easier, he's all. Okay, item K. Yeah, we do, we have to approve it. So I'll motion to approve our canvassing meeting date and time. Thank you, Linnea. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Canvassing set. Item K, announced, this is a reminder for our November and December meeting dates, which are different because of holidays. Our November meeting is the 16th, and our December meeting will be the 21st. The time of 6 p.m. will stay the same. So that's our announcement for our November, December meetings. The next item, approve ISD 316 accounting and financial procedures manual, and Randy gave us a connection to the policy 721. I'll motion to approve. Second from Linnea. Any questions? All in favor? Aye. Motion approved. We are approved, we're gonna approve creating a girls lacrosse pairing agreement with ISD 318 for the 16-17 school year. And I'll introduce the motion. We'll get a second. We'll let Mr. Pace tell us what he's done on this item.
As we preliminary had talked about last board meeting, we were approached by Grand Rapids on this possibility. Myself, Mr. Mel, met with their high school principal, their athletic director, and their business manager, and discussed the situation. What they're asking for is, our board's approval, then their board will approve. If it is successfully passed, then we'll go to their board for approval. Right now, what they are looking at is lacrosse, both boys and girls. Ours is specific. We don't have any boys that have participated in our club, so they'd be specifically looking at our girls in this situation. The students will be funding the program entirely. The coaches salaries will be established and will be paid transportation. They will go through Grand Rapids School District, so they'll travel all on school equipment, and they'll follow that. But they have to have the money in the bank to start the program. It is going to be a significant cost for the students. I believe it's about $500. And when we talk about opportunities, we do right now. Their club, I believe they said 4 or 5 Greenway girls are signed up. So there are students that are from our school district, and with this opportunity, I think, of course, been in education long enough to know that any type of club or activity eventually ends up on the school district in time. There hasn't really been a time frame established, I think, somewhat based on the success or the numbers of the students. When this becomes a school funded program, that's going to be details on when things happen. The one thing that we did talk about, and this goes along with our other programs, is that we would like to see, instead of, we've got about 3 different scenarios how we fund our agreements with Grand Rapids, and we're working on to get it to one system where it's still participant, instead of we pay for a program, they pay for a program, or we pay this much or that. In other words, we would bring the total cost of the program divided by the number of participants, which to me, that's always been the fairest way to do those type of arrangements. So once this gets done, we'll get all the agreement things done that way and move forward that way. But, it was a very productive meeting. We did talk about the potential of some other sports, and they didn't come right out and say no, so we're keeping those doors open. Specifically, on those individual sports.
Are the arrangements with Grand Rapids individual?
And that's why, my impetus was to get there and have that conversation. We want to work, if we're going to work with Grand Rapids, we want to work under one system for all sports, because we have, girls hockey is one, and tennis is another one, and so we want a uniform for all of them.
I remember myself and Marlon being anxious to look at those kinds of things the last meeting, but I haven't heard anything, so.
Okay,
We're getting, it'll happen.
good. Okay, so we still need a second. I introduced the motion. We need a second on this one.
Second.
Thank you, Mike.
Discussion.
Yes.
How soon do they have to have an answer?
Well, they would need this approved fairly soon, because this would be for the spring sports.
But we do have another meeting or 2 maybe, because
It'd be nice, hopefully.
I think there's gotta be some discussion about, our collaboration on
discussion?
And, you know, the facilities, pretty soon they're gonna be coming, looking at, wanting to use our facilities and, you know, it's,
So I'm just looking at it, this looks, it just girls, and it's just the 1 year. That's what we're looking at originally, it's in like, is in football and all that, like 2 years, wow. This is just 1 year. Yeah, and I'm in the same boat you are, Bob. The only problem that I would have with not doing this is if you had a club team, and I don't know what the participation rate is. I mean, if our 4 or 5 girls ain't playing, is next year done for them? That's the only thing, and it'd be nice to find out the timeline and, you know, for if they already made this commitment and we aren't allowing, you know, I don't want them to lose it, but he's right in the sense, you know, we need to look at our school totally.
So Bob, you raise a very good point that this is bigger than just this one agenda item. So as a board, we can rescind the motion and table it, or we can revise the motion to make sure that we're including that the board will proceed with approving this evening, contingent on a comprehensive discussion around what this means, big picture.
Well, I think we sent,
Technically, you wouldn't have to table or rescind it, you would table.
Table it? Okay, once the motion's in, we can still table it.
Well, that's what we talked about last time, is that we really needed to, Bob and I had discussed, we really wanted to have a meeting that surrounded that.
Yep, and Mr. Pace moved forward with that, but, you know, it didn't necessarily include us. Fred, you were gonna say something?
well, I think Mr. Pace, Mr. Mel, and all the people in that, I think they have the kinks worked out on this. I mean, this is just a few girls that want to play coming up, and I don't really see the problem.
No, I think that Bob's caution is that it has other, maybe unforeseen consequences, and you wanna make sure that's being discussed.
a 1 year, one-time deal probably makes sense, because we got some girls that are involved, but that's how hockey started out, girls hockey, and we're 20 years into it. And we've never revisited how we've done it.
Well, and I commend Mr. Pace for getting progress.
No, I'm not against these girls playing, I just wanna make sure we're getting our bang for our buck, so.
And I don't want to send the wrong message to the girls.
No.
That now we've made a motion to do it, and now we're saying, no, we're not doing it.
Okay.
And after all, they've gone through the deal, so I'm in favor of it.
So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Okay, we'll put it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh,
Are we at the original motion?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, can we add the language about that, do we need to put anything in about the importance of committee meeting on this, around this issue? Or is it, I think Bob's understood that we're expecting that. Okay, so we'll go with the,
You know, that was expressed to them, that we continue the conversation in these other sports.
okay. Good. Okay, so we have a motion, as is, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Okay, Mr. Schwartz is opposed. Okay, and finally, we're recognizing another grant in the amount of $1,000 from the Northland Foundation to Van Dyke Elementary for rainy day recess. So, thank you to the Northland Foundation. Can you give us a little bit of overview on that, Sue?
Sure. This grant is available every year, and it's actually a grant that students write. And we have 3 students, Max, Marissa, and Athena. If you go to our Facebook page, you'll see their picture. on our Facebook page. They wrote the grant and they were awarded $1,000. What they're gonna be doing with the grant, they've got a survey out to all of our classrooms right now, and they've asked the teachers and the students to let them know the top 3 things that they would like to have available for either rainy or recess, it's too cold to go outside. And then they're going to be purchasing with the grant dollars those items for the classroom. So it's about $60 per classroom. Some of the grade levels are putting together their money and making a cart so that the cart can go back and forth between the classrooms. But the things that I've heard have been things like chess and different strategy games, manipula, some of those kind of things that they'd like to play during recess. So we appreciate the students that wrote the grant and appreciate that Dawn Jenkins, our school social worker, worked with them to submit.
What is the Northland Foundation?
Northland Foundation is, Mr. Tony Surge is the director at this time. It's a good question, he put me on the spot.
It's not Northland Council.
Nope, it's Northland Foundation, I think their main offices are out of Duluth.
Okay, thank you.
Been around for many, many years.
Okay.
The 4th graders wrote one last year as well, and we were awarded that one, so it's kind of become an annual thing now that they write the grant, and it's a really good experience for them.
Okay. All right, that is our agenda. We will move to item 8, working together from the school board.
I just wanted to say over the next couple of days, we have a fundraiser at both lunches. And it is for a fundraiser for the Grace House at, I think it's the 11th grade. There's a group of kids that are doing that. So just to be on the lookout for that, and if anybody wants to come in and purchase from them. Doing those, they have like 4 lunch periods, Thursday and Friday, that they're gonna be at, so.
We're talking tomorrow, Thursday?
Tomorrow and Friday.
Okay.
And I only know that because there's lots of baking happening at my house.
Okay, I would update the board that Linnea, myself, and Mr. Pace attended the ISD strategic planning session, which followed our regular, I guess it was our regular, was it in September? It was a couple of weeks ago? It was October. It was our regular, one of our regularly scheduled meetings for October. And there were probably 50 people, board members, administrators, and GLUMAC facilitated. And it was a good start. Mr. Pace, anything you'd add?
You know, I think some of the priorities that came out of that evening are now gonna move to, and that meeting hasn't been set up yet with the administrative team from the IS group, so.
So, and, yeah,
Action steps.
yeah, she was gonna compile everything, and then there'll be a second meeting with the superintendents and administrators. So, I think IASC is making an intentional effort to move to the next level. So, good to have. Anything else from the board? Okay. Sue?
From the elementary, just one set of dates I wanted to make sure you're aware of. November 14th and 16th in the evening are our parent-teacher conferences. And so they will run, typically they run until 7:30 at night and start right after school. 14th and 16th of November. I believe the high school is the 15th, Tuesday, and maybe Thursday, the 17th, if I remember correctly. So that'll be a big conference week.
All right. Mr. Bachman?
Evening, everybody. It's heating season. All our buildings are fired up, the boilers are running, everything's heating, the pool's warm. Synchronized swimming has its first night tonight. Looks like there's a little more community ed interest in the pool this fall, so it should be seeing pretty regular use starting now. So that new boiler system we installed worked perfectly, but now we're moving to our regular boilers. we're cycling them on and off still. They run about 16 hours and we cycle them off for 8 hours at night just to control costs. We don't really need to run them full time yet with the warmer daytime temps and not too cold overnights yet. But it's only gonna go one way from here. We have a few issues with firing up the heating systems. Over at Van Dyke, we have a couple of air handler issues. One's got a mechanical problem that I think we got licked, and we got a software issue with another that we're moving to correct, but it's gonna take a little time to get the right people here to get the programming squared away, but it's nothing we can't manage, it's just more maintenance than anything. We had our large surge tank in the boiler room fail on us. It's reached its end of life. It's basically rotted away from us. We have to have it to run our heating system. We've patched it and hopefully it'll hold, but in the meantime, we're gonna get another tank here, a replacement, have it on site. Hopefully we can make it till spring and replace it in the off season, but in a worst case scenario, or if we can get the replacement here soon enough, maybe we can afford, if the weather cooperates, to shut down our heating system and get it replaced. But either way, we'll get it here as an insurance policy and decide from there. Boiler tune-ups. As part of a PM program, every 2 years you get a rebate from the gas company to tune up your boiler system. It's about a 50% rebate to do this. It's wise to do it. You get a water analysis, you make sure that you're heating efficiently with your equipment. We're doing about half of them this year, Marble, the field house, the truck shop, some of our smaller ones, and then next year we'll do high school here and the little school. We'll just leapfrog like that, doing about half of them a year, and hopefully keep getting the rebates as long as they're available and keep better track of our equipment that way, hopefully get a longer life out of it. The only other thing of note really is the fire marshal came and visited us, normal 3-year about inspection. The facility's actually really well, some really minor things. The only thing really to mention here is there'll be some sprinkler head additions here in the high school. There was 5 or 6 locations that were mostly mechanical or storage areas that we were a little undersized in, and we'll be moving to get that squared away here in the next couple of weeks. Other than that, everything's going good. Busy.
Where does the fire marshal come from?
He comes out of the cities, but there's 5 fire marshals in the state that do educational facilities, and he's in this area, the northeast section of the state.
Was that scheduled?
Kind of. He gives you about a week notice, but we like to give him the reality.
This tank you have to change eventually, is that, how many hours downtime?
I'd like to say we could do it in a day, but I don't know that that's true. One of the issues with the tank we have is it's a little bit undersized. Some of the pumps are a little bit undersized and struggle in the peak of the heating season with it to keep up with some of our water needs for the boilers. And in the spring and fall, it's undersized. So if you recall, last winter, I talked a lot about steam trap maintenance and reserving water. We were losing 800 gallons a day to steam traps, and we got that down to about 150, 200 gallons a day. But in the spring and fall, all that condensate coming back, there's so much buildup that actually overflows the tank. So I'm saving all that water just to bring it back to overflow it onto the floor of the boiler room. So in theory, we'd upsize a little bit, being we have the opportunity to do it now. And if we upsize, of course, that changes things as far as installation. So it might not be an 8-hour install that way. If we went with an exact same size tank, we could slide it right in and everything would bolt right up. But ideally, we'd upsize, but we'll see what they come up with. We're gonna put it out to some vendors and get some bids and see what's smart.
You don't do that in-house?
No, absolutely not. We can't in-house.
How much is it?
I don't know.
Oh, you haven't, is it ordered?
No.
Oh.
No, we just made the repair yesterday. We just found out it was leaking the day before yesterday. We made the repair yesterday, and now I'm waiting to hear about some bids come back.
Something we just have to get again.
Yeah, you can't operate your heating system without it, and there is no secondary fallback system. You have to have it, period.
What if it fails and you don't have it?
We're in trouble. Right now?
Off-the-shelf- Is it an off-the-shelf thing, or is it?
No, absolutely not. They're all made to order. I mean, you can order it from catalog, but it doesn't exist yet. They may come as you order them, basically. Should be about a 2-week turnaround time once we commit, no matter where you get it from, and then deciding how we want to install it. We'll have to be largely dependent on the weather. If we think it's gonna be longer than 8-hour shift, there's gonna be a point where the weather's cold enough where we can't comfortably shut down the building for that long. So, puts us in a bit of a tight spot, but we do have options yet.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Mr. Tanner will want an update next month.
Absolutely, by then
If not
hopefully it'll
sooner.
be changed.
Right.
Keep you posted.
Thanks, Mark.
Yep. Right.
Now, Mr. Florsheim, I saw you sneak in, probably after some activities that you're doing. Anything from you?
I don't know, there's a ton going on, and we've had a couple of our, instructional rounds days where groups of teachers are around observing classrooms. We're really committed to that lately, that process. I've been part of those a few times, and more formally part of that now. There's a lot of growth that's coming out of those, processes. I also want to give a shout out to something that's really good in this building right now, is just the success our kids are having this fall across activities. There's a lot of pride that's come back this fall with some of that success, and it's really good to see. So give a shout out to Bob with what the boys are doing, and the girls are playing 15 minutes here, and Nels is watching the clock.
So am I.
I just would add to that, I'll just say off the record, this is maybe a little out of order here, but the conversation about sports, the district down the road, I would just second while I have the opportunity here to share what Bob was saying. I would be happy to talk to any one of you, just some conversations I've had over the years that give me some reason for pause to what Bob's saying.
Okay. We'll make sure to include you in our discussions.
I think all head coaches should be included in that. Just my own opinion.
All right. Thanks, Will. Okay, Randy?
Well, our finance meeting is gonna meet on November 9th, so Superintendent Pace and I will sit down, with that committee. We're gonna discuss our levy, our Pay 17 fiscal year 18 levy. We're gonna touch on last year's, budget and our year-end numbers and where we ended, a little bit. We're gonna look at our updated budget as of that point in time for this fiscal year. And then also possibly look at some 5-year projection models of what your fund balance looks like, in different scenarios as you go out. So the finance committee will be touching on that. Your auditor, Jen Smith from Whitfleet, plans to be here at your November meeting to present the summary of fiscal year 16 audit. Pretty much. I haven't seen the actual draft documents yet, but yes. Yep, that's all.
The finance committee is Fred and Linnea. Okay. Mike, you've also had interest. I don't know if you have any interest in participating in that meeting.
Yeah.
I have it in my calendar. I just want to make sure that if you have interest, I'll
Yeah.
defer to
Yeah.
you. Okay. So I'll take it off my calendar, and if something comes up where you're not able to, let me know. Okay. All right. Brandon, anything from you?
Things are going great. Chromebook wise, we rolled out all new devices this year, as you know. I just did a count today, and we're at a total of 1,200 devices just that are student specific throughout this district. That's more kids than we have here. So our load is increased quite a bit as far as usage goes. We are having some Chromebook issues again this year with breakages. We're already at 20 for the year. It seems to me a little high, but we're trying to get it lower, and we're doing what we can. So. But yeah, other than that, I honestly can say truly it's been a good year so far. So
Great.
things are improving.
Good, that's what you'd wanted. I mean, we talked about it last spring, so I'm glad that we're off to a good start and feeling like we're making progress. Thanks, Brandon. Mr. Pace?
Just a reminder, along with the audit report that you have in your next agenda, I'm trying to give a synopsis of where my recommendations as far as looking at our facilities and our facility plan going forward. So be prepared for those two things with the audit and that report. Also a reminder, and I know you've all got the information from MSBA about the leadership seminar. If you are going, it would be a good idea that we get a reservation in for room relatively soon, because those hotels fill up relatively quickly. A little bit more on IASC. I mentioned last time that we were interviewing the STEM coordinator for the STEM grant, in which we are involved in. That individual, Claire Schumacher, has started. She started last week. And with the grant, she will be working about 30 hours a week with the three school districts to get that up and running. Yeah, the biggest thing right now that needs to be worked on, of course, is a lot of the programming with, you know, the processing is pretty much ready to go. They're waiting for some of that stuff, equipment to come in, but you know, the CAD labs, the robotics, and those are really going to be the challenge. Those are going to be new programming, you know, to some extent. So it's going to be somewhat of a challenge. I know one of the first things that we wanted to look at is that there is also an activities committee or advisory committee that goes along with that. As far as the EIP, that's the other cooperative that we belong to there. They did receive $2 million IRRB funding, and some of that will, my understanding is, depending upon the school district, you know, we committed to a demonstration school. Schools within the organization, you know, the technology or some offsets of the LSI programming. So they just got the grant approved last week, so some of the final details are still being worked out. Again, you know, as far as where we're going with the LSI training, we've had the rigor walks. We're scheduled for 3 more that will be going out throughout the year. We've got continuing leadership training and working with on-site. So our staff are becoming more and more used to administrators, other staff walking into the classrooms and having those conversations on where the student learning is in the classroom. And that's really what's important, making sure that we're bringing that rigor up for the students, making sure that it's not just dates, facts, and figures that we're looking at in the classroom. It's more what is the importance of those facts and figures on building on that. And quickly get us out of here, you know, again, shout out, I mean, we've got volleyball here that starts here in about 5 minutes. If they're victorious, they'll play again here. Because of their seating, they'll play here again Friday night. Football plays Saturday here, and then cross country, they only have one event. Theirs is tomorrow over in Cloquet. I believe girls are at, I think it's 12:05. Boys is shortly after that. So fall sports are winding down.
Good luck, Bob.
Thank you. All right, any other business?
I just have one quick question. Is there going to be a report on the MCA scores? Testing?
The MCA scores, the information will be coming as part of the World's Best Workforce report in
That'll be on
November.
the agenda.
Yep, that'll be in November.
And I just wanted to mention one thing too, Music Boosters, has been at the football games and they're gonna be at the October one as well, so.
Motion to adjourn?
Move.
Second?
Second.
Second for now. All in favor?
Right.
Go have fun tomorrow. Thank you, everyone.